Yeah, so why do salon menus become confusing? This is like a fundamental thing that we have to get straight here. Okay, we have to get straight as people who work in the salon industry as stylists and who work behind the chair, and people who are customers. And you have to be able to see things from both perspectives, because the most fundamental thing that happens is there's a miscommunication in language. It's language. Okay, so salon menus become confusing because fundamentally, number one, the language that most stylists use is a technical language. They use a technical language to describe the service that they're doing, right? A service is you're doing some kind of action, you're cutting, you're coloring, you're manipulating the hair in some way. And so you're trying to find, and it takes a certain amount of time to do that, and skills and product and the whole thing, right? And so you're trying to find a way to name that package that you're delivering to clients to give a certain result. And so that naming of it for stylists most of the time is like, it's basically describing the technique that they're using. Maybe balayage, maybe partial foils, maybe this. It doesn't matter. There's dozens and dozens, and people make up all their names. The fact is that most of the time it's technical and it's wordy. The client, on the other hand, the customer, most of the time has no perception of that. They don't have that technical knowledge other than when they come in and talk to a stylist. It's like people in, somebody in the medical industry or the science industry, you go in there and they have a completely different language that they're talking to you with, and it's confusing. It's confusing as hell. And so as a customer, you have to understand, the customer is thinking, I have a problem. There's something wrong. There's something going on. I need to get my hair fixed, right? There's this intention that they have. And then with that intention, they're trying to, with the language that they have, they're trying to search up things and find a way to describe and find what kind of service is going to fix my problem, is going to get my hair situation back to the way I want it. And so the most confusing thing is language. You change the names of your services that you have. Most of the time you reduce them and you change the names so that the names more closely match client intentions in what they're searching, and that's the first thing right there. So why do clients not know what to book? Again, this goes back to the same thing. You guys understand this is very fundamental right here, right? Whether people understand this or not, this is what we're trying to get across. Stylists and clients are coming at the same thing from two different perspectives, okay? And they're coming around it from this two different perspectives, two opposite perspectives. And the thing that they're centering around is the hair, right? It's the customer's relationship and what they want with their hair. It might be an identity thing, it might be a maintenance thing, it might be a low maintenance thing, right? They might want to transform. There's many different relationships and intents and things that are going on for the client. But ultimately what's happening here is that the client needs something, right? They want their hair that way, and we're trying to make this as smooth as possible so that the work is satisfying for the client. So why do clients often not know what to book? It's because they're confused. They're confused about the language. It's as simple as that. In their head, just like for me, anytime a person searches up something online when they're trying to find a hairstylist, they have this. It's not about the stylist per se, right? If you're trying to find a new stylist or you're trying to get something solved like that, a person has something that they want to change about themselves or adjust or whatever, then they have a certain intention about how they're going to get that issue solved, right? They're going to get their hair cut or colored or whatever, styled, right? And then each person has certain patterns and ways that they go about life, ways that they go about getting their hair done and making those appointments. And so most of the time, it's just that the customers and the way their mind operates and their decision making operates is not in alignment with the names of the services. So what changed when we aligned um, our services to client intent? I can't tell you. Client intent, that was the kicker. When you start to understand, as you know, as a salon business owner or a stylist, you know, when you when you start to understand different customers have different intents. Different customers have different intentions, in which what that means is that they have different ways in which they're trying to get their hair situation solved, right? Everybody has a unique relationship to their hair, how they want their hair to behave with them, how they want their hair to work with them, what they want their hair to do for them in their life, right? Everybody has that to some degree or the other. And so when we align those things, not only did we get on the surface level more bookings right away with that, but everything seemed to align with, and what that means is that more bookings came because it was easier for people just to be like, oh, that's what I was already thinking in my head. Click, book now, right? Matches, and they don't have to go through this. Well, in my head, I think I want this, but it says this, and so now I'm trying to fill in the gap in between. That's where people get lost. They get lost in that mental trying to understand something that's not clear, right? And so once we align those things, yeah, we got more bookings, but then we started to get people who were more aligned, which means for the stylist, they knew, you know, more what the client needed to be satisfied. If this was a low maintenance type of client, you treat them one way. If this is a high maintenance client, you treat them a different way. If this is a big transforming event, you treat it a different way, you know, and understanding those intentions and how clients really were internally trying to get their problem solved was a huge game changer, because it allowed us to just naturally take what we're already doing and place it in the way of solving those problems for people, and it just works and everybody gets satisfied. How did Google keyword research change service naming? I mean, you know, it changes it and it doesn't. This is more localized, okay? So in my work, where this Google keyword research really makes a difference is when you're really trying to dominate a local ecosystem, because the language, the very specific language that people use changes in with geography. If you live in the city, you live in the south, the north, east, you know, depending on where you live, terms and words and slang and the language changes. And so when you would filter all the way down and you're trying to really finalize the names of your services so that they match your local clients, that's when you need that. Ahead of that or before that, you know, all people fall into certain types of behavioral patterns in terms of the relationships with their hair, the types of intents that they have. And so before that stuff, you can really understand just the mechanical and pattern operation of the hair life cycle and people to understand their intents. And then to refine that, yeah, you go down into the Google keyword research, and then you start to just really put the finalized names in there that match with what the people locally are actually searching. Yeah. And so why did add-ons increase afterwards? Well, that was one of the things about the business systems, right? People naturally want support. They naturally want support. They want support that makes sense. They want support that's practical. They want support that works. It doesn't matter if it's a service or a product or education. It's beyond all that, right? It's practicality. It has to work. It has to be simple. It has to be clear. It has to make sense. It can't be this big complicated thing, right? And so many times people wanted an add-on haircut, or they wanted eyebrows done, or they wanted a scalp massage, or they wanted these extra things that we had available. We just didn't have the booking system and the flow properly, and so we were missing out on a lot of that. And not only were we missing out on that in terms of our business revenue, clients weren't able to feel more satisfied. Like, the satisfaction and the reviews that we're getting after this are even better, because people just feel more complete in their satisfaction what they're getting in the entire service. You know what I mean? And so what that did was we were able to, again, I take my whole our whole process here, understanding the hair life cycle and these wave patterns that hair goes through and that people go through, and then we say, okay, these are the natural places here where add-ons and products and services are going to naturally support these patterns that people have. And then we specifically put certain add-ons to align with certain service centers that are naturally supporting add-ons for those services, right? Haircuts have certain ones, our perms have certain add-ons that aren't with other ones, right? And so you add those, and then it's just this natural flow in clients when they're just naturally getting their problem solved. And not only are they getting their problem solved in an easy way where they don't have to think about it as much, which just makes it natural for them to keep booking and returning to you, but they're satisfied. I keep repeating this, like they're satisfied, right? They feel satisfied when they get out of your chair and in the whole process. And so that just enriches the whole dynamic of the client and customer, or the stylist and the client relationship, and that builds over time, and then you have these great lifetime long values worth of stylists and their clients. It's beautiful. So why does clarity increase booking confidence? It's super simple. We live in a world of overstimulation. There's so much everywhere, and everybody knows inside that we all are unique in the way that we naturally align to certain things. We all don't align and resonate and tune in to the same things. We all don't like the same things, right? And so what happens here is that I had to go deep into the understanding of human beings, right? Yeah, we're talking about salon systems and business systems, but this is the talk about the human system. This is deep listening and understanding. Me as a projector, as a human design projector body type, it's a deep one-on-one recognition of the other, and understanding deeply how the customer and how clients and how everyday people deal with the hair and the relationship with their hair and the natural changes that happen in our body and in our hair, and how that changes over time. And understanding those patterns about people really just allowed me and us to change the wording in our website, in our booking, to remove clutter, remove unwanted wording, remove nonsense, and just get to the point where it's like, hey, we're not trying to meet everybody's needs. We're trying to meet the needs of people that we can meet, right? And our stylists, we have a salon that is based off of a single stylist and an assistant. It's a very small thing, but it's meant really to have this with a focus on a unique environment and a specialized environment for unique people, so that they can feel empowered. The stylist and their support systems can feel empowered in that, and they can do better for their clients. And so being able to do that and be able to understand humans as a system has allowed us to really just resonate with people in ways that are not conscious on the top. The way that we communicate naturally, the way that we talk to our clients, the way that we communicate with others, it just comes out naturally because we can see them in a way that most people can't, when in terms of the average interaction that a customer has when they go to a salon. What should salon owners focus on first? Yeah, the very first thing is your booking system. It's your service menu naming. Whether you have, it doesn't matter. There's many different booking flows and systems and software out there. That's not the point. The point is that there needs to be continuity and alignment. There needs to be a string that runs through everything in your business that holds it together, or else it drifts, right? And so you need to focus on, cleaning up the names of your services so that they align with the types of customers that you're trying to serve, right? If you're somebody that really does a lot of blonding, or high maintenance people, or maybe low maintenance, it doesn't matter. There's different types of people in their intents, or maybe you want to do all of them, it doesn't matter. The point here is that you understand that there are different intentions. Customers have different intentions in the way they're trying to get their hair done. They're trying to get their hair service accomplished. They're different types of people. And when you can understand that these different types of people have to be seen and listened to and treated differently in order to make them satisfied, in order for the stylist to feel satisfied that they did great work and that everything went smoothly, it just makes sense to fit that. And so you start to align that with the names of your services. Then automatically the right kinds of people are going to come along because you're going to have less misalignment in the naming. Right now, when the names are all mixed up, people choose them and they still don't know if that's the right one. So then what that leads to is that leads to more consulting in the beginning. That leads to more work on the stylist's end, trying to figure out what do they really want, what's their intention, what are they trying to get, what do they really want, what's going to satisfy them, that whole thing. So as much of that clear intention that we can get beforehand really aligns for the stylist, and then they can just do their work without really, when you can understand that, because really look at, again, just something as very simple as a low maintenance intention client and a maintenance intention. You have a low maintenance intention client who, low maintenance, they have this long arc where their hair, they just don't want it to bother them, right? They come in periodically, right? They don't come in often, but their hair isn't their identity. It's not something that they want to deal with every day and spend energy on, right? It just needs to not be in their way. You That's a different type of person than a maintenance client who is somebody that thrives on pattern, repeatable pattern over and over and over and over again. This repeatable, structured pattern that is comforting and stabilizing to them. So they might come in often, repeated the same appointments often, 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 and that's a completely different. You may be still doing a haircut with them or a balayage, or it doesn't matter, right? Your thing with them, but those two different intentions of people have to be approached completely differently in the way you treat them in your chair, because that's going to result in whether or not that client is satisfied after they leave and is happy with everything and will come back and share and spread the word and give you reviews and that whole thing. So yeah, clarity is number one important, because people cannot be using brain power for nonsense. Yeah. It's overstimulated already, and they 3 clicks, it's got to be bam, bam, bam. They got to know what that is, and they got to be able to click it, and they got to be able to feel good about it.